Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome you to the interview over the Lightman report on payments, one of the most vital elements to our economic traffic back in the old days, in history, today, but even in the future, as it will always be part of our lives. Um, Eric, Alex, welcome to this interview. We had a lot of face-to-face transactions in the past, from exchanging goods to involving currencies, and then we evolved into the banking systems. But that's more distant. So how do we look towards your future of face-to-face in the digital space? Because we're going back to a peer-to-peer situation where the intermediate is not there anymore. So how has this changed? How will it change in the future? Eric, maybe you can put some light into that, how you see that.
It's interesting that I think this is the first time that we could use face-to-face that has no intermediary, right? It's like just a cash system, right? It's very interesting. Unlike before, we always use bank or some sort of other intermediate. I think in the future, face-to-face transaction will be more and more interesting. Think about this. It might not be two human beings. It could be human being and machine to machine. And it may not use the cash we're seeing right now. It will be a digital form of payment. And this digital form of payment has no centralized clearing system. That would be very, very interesting.
So what you're actually saying, Eric, that we go into a situation where the word face will get a new definition in the digital space.
Right, the face will be a very different thing. When you say face, actually make me think of many, many other things. Nowadays we have facial recognition, a lot of other new technologies, yes. Right? So why do we even need a credit card? Right? Your face recognition actually linked to your digital identity. That digital identity gives you a credit score, and you don't have to pay on cash. You can pay on credit. That credit actually linked to the face. That's another thought. Okay.
I think what is around the corner. We do have extensive facial recognition systems that already work very good. We started with the iris scan. That we've known for a couple of years already, biorhythmic recognition. So it would actually mean that our real face, our biological face, was recognized, but it's protected by what we would call our digital face, which is actually guaranteeing our privacy, but not damaging anything of the trust. Is that where you're thinking, where you thought?
Yeah, so when you say face, it could be our digital face, meaning digital identity. And I think in the last few episodes, we actually talked about digital identities. For every human being, we can have multiple identities and multiple ways of paying or, holding assets or payment could be different.
Alex, if you hear Eric sort of engaging into what it is now and where it's going in the future, do you see the same sort of development? Because I think we already have all these technologies. It's just the combination is not there for the consumer right now.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out that this area of payments is very exciting. I once read a study which was somebody was trying to find what is the easiest way to make an internet company worth $1 billion or more, to make a unicorn. And the answer was payments. And so we can say, why are payments so great? And the answer is because it's something that before this face-to-face, needing to trust somebody to make a deal with them was so important. And so we have kind of a backlog of all these people who want to buy, sell, borrow, loan, and swap from all over the world. And the ability to have a good, reliable payment system so that anybody can buy from anybody else, sell to anybody else, borrow from anyone else, loan, swap things back and forth. And the fact that you can have currency, equities, bonds, real estate, consumer products, travel, tourism, all this. It just opens up the market for all kinds of new payment systems. And yes, Eric, of course, is spot on. Eric's emphasis has been, in many cases, on the right thing, which is identity. So if you have to know who somebody is, and also the ability, we had a past Lightman report on verifiable pseudonyms, which is very important because you don't necessarily want everyone to know all of your business for a variety of reasons. And so now as we get to payments, people who can allow you to, on the one hand, have your credit and your trustworthiness and do that, but also keep your privacy, there's all kinds of different opportunities for them. And investors love things that have high margins. They love things where you can make a deal and you have no cost of the underlying goods. So if you're a payment system provider, you don't have to pay for the underlying cost of goods. You don't have to pay for oil to be found and drilled and the scans and the refining and all that. You just get your tiny cut. Another thing is that it's very scalable because typically payments will be a percentage of something. Like getting 1% on trillions of dollars is a pretty darn good business model. Yes. And finally, there's the ability to have that data on what people are buying and what they're selling, because then you can use that to offer them similar products. Like one of the most simple things that was done, the thing that made it almost inevitable that Jeff Bezos would become the richest person in the world, is when he implemented that system that said people who bought this book also bought that book. Like that one thing creates a viral loop within the payments thing. And then the other thing, combining that with that patent on one-click payment. So anybody who can take the steps out, take the friction out to do that. And if you look at Google, it's a $1 trillion valuation for something that's a ham-fisted way to buy things. You type in the name, you get a list, you go to that place, you screw around within it. And so what's great about payments is there's still room to do amazing things with it. And probably there's another 20 or so unicorns to be made within payments.
I think if couple of the items that you just mentioned, they've got one thing in common, and that's mass adoption. All of these systems that were successful as a unicorn had some type of mass adoption. So I think trust, acceptability is one of the main reasons. Why do you buy that other book? Because you trust the fact that lots of other people that bought your book that you just purchased also were interested in this, that, and so on. So the acceptability in digital transactions, in some way, I would say it's a referral. It's a way of being comfortable with something that's being presented to you. Eric, what do you think are the best ways towards the future to put more ease in the public where it comes to digital transactions, payments, especially made towards the future? What would be a good way to put the public at ease? Because mass adoption is the goal for all of these new unicorns. And I think the three of us are united on one thing, that this type of payment is definitely going to be in some shape or sort of form in the future.
Well, trust and adaptation will never come just overnight. It will take time, as always. But the good thing is, we as consumer, or say we as people, start to trust technology slowly. We start to trust all kinds of technologies. I think it's pretty hard to ask the ancient people to get on an airplane. They wouldn't trust that technology, right? Or anyone.
They wouldn't even trust an automatic staircase in a warehouse when they first heard.
Exactly. So we kind of start to trust technology, right? So we wouldn't be scared to say, oh, SpaceX gonna send people to the space because, oh, this is like disaster. No, it's not. People start to trust that. So slowly, people building trust into technology. We in our industry, we have a joke. We say, instead we say in God we trust, we say in crypto we trust. So we trust cryptography, right?
That's our new t-shirt, guys. In crypto, we trust. Yeah.
Yes, we say in crypto we trust. So we know that there's no way, mathematically impossible to break some of the cryptographies, right? So we trust that kind of piece of mathematics or technology. So we trust that nobody gonna steal my money or nobody gonna hack into my system because I trust this piece of cryptography. So that's the trust. So the financial trust come later. I think the trust in current financial system is like trust in people, in organization, yeah, so in a system that built by the organization. Now we kind of ask these consumers or say investors to shift their trust into the system that built of machine or cryptography. So, but this kind of setup already there. I think we're already there. So it will be relatively quicker than we thought. That's what I
Alex,
think.
in one of your past Lightman reports, we discussed the tremendous, I would say, increase in speed of digital economy based upon the recent pandemic and all the developments that sort of snowballed from that.
That was in the first one.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, in a way that we're 30 years up front of what we thought in January where we would be, what we believe to be there in 2030 or 2050 is around the corner or already there. So if we go to acceptability, how do you think it was possible for people to go so fast into this new development? Because it's a way of, I would say, trust of the public that's increased in this type of business. Is it just a pandemic, or do you think there are other reasons that people stepped into this? I would say,
Well, there are different reasons at different stages. So I remember that the television was filled with massive advertising for e-commerce sites like pets.com, had an enormous number of ads for the sock puppet and all that. And it was a massive transfer of venture capital into television advertising. So there were dot bombs that no longer are with us that bought $1 million ads on the Super Bowl for 15 seconds and 30 seconds. And so part of that was there. And I remember going and speaking. I was a keynote speaker with John Sculley, the former CEO of Apple, at Internet World in New Delhi in 2000. And I remember there were only a few million people on the internet in all of India. And every city I went to in India, there were billboards or flags that somebody had gone up for different e-commerce sites. So I think that basically it's just that they spent so much money. Lately, it's because so much money has been thrown at it from Wall Street. So you have things like, you have Amazon as one of the most valuable companies in the world, one of that rare $1 trillion.
Alex, we lost your camera there. Oh, you're back.
Sorry,
again.
sorry. Taylor just called me. There was this massive explosion of publicity around Amazon, and Amazon has more than 20 million products. Now, in New York or in LA, there are over 1 billion SKUs, stock keeping units, 1 billion different products. So Amazon does not have all products available in a big city by any means. It's only got a tiny fraction, but still, to be able to use your mobile phone to choose any of 20 million products, get one-click shopping, have free delivery, and for the same price of that Amazon Prime, get thousands of movies, thousands of TV shows, thousands of songs, this kind of all-you-can-eat simplification, so it's all there. One price gets you so much. It's kind of an irresistible offer. And then you have Shopify that has become worth tens of billions of dollars. I didn't check it, but it's I've heard $100 billion just for Shopify. So this is something that in a $382 trillion world, like if you look at the total value of all the things in the world, is that an $82 trillion from last year, then payments and the ability to facilitate transactions is the sharp point of the spear and growing faster than the GDP, faster than any currency, because it's the double exponential. Like you have the first derivative of distance with respect to time is velocity, and the second derivative is acceleration. You know, you also have this, like a later one, the derivative of the derivative is jerk. Like that's an acceleration of acceleration. So it's like the jerk of money, the jerk of GDP.
To close it off, this fascinating, I mean, we will talk a lot more about payments in the coming year. It's a vital, I would say, development area for cryptocurrencies. In some ways, digital cryptocurrencies are more stable than a lot of fiat currencies worldwide. Still, people think about the volatility. I mean, there's no Ministry of Finance manipulating things. There's no, you know, Fed. There's no Frankfurt manipulating it, or at least we hope they don't. But in a way, how do you see that we could control this volatility that people still, you know, I would say the average person thinks because of all the news about Bitcoin or whatever, that, you know, the rate of cryptocurrency goes up and down like wild, and it's completely uncontrollable and blah, 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 and they run a lot of risk. How do you see that we could control this volatility better, Eric, to have more mass adoption in the, I would say, in the follow-up of what Alex just explained as digital economy's largest expansion at the moment?
I think my answer is you don't control the volatility. But the good news is, for the past weeks, right? If you look week over weeks, the volatility of Bitcoin is pretty low at this moment. But it has no guarantee for the future. But if you look like for the past 12 months, Bitcoin went up like 300% or more, right? So it's still, you still can call it very volatile. But my answer to you is don't control the volatility. Let it be stable coin. So you will have stable coin and Bitcoin. So if you want to invest, so it's an asset class. Bitcoin is an asset class. But if you really want to use it, use stable coin. Why? I can tell you. I think 3-4 years ago, I spent about 8 Bitcoin just to get on a cruise ship. Look back, that's very expensive, right? So
I would say yes, it is.
yeah, so the lesson is don't spend your Bitcoin on this, you spend stable coin instead, right? So I think maybe 10 years from now, you look at this 8 Bitcoins, Eric, you're crazy, you spent 8 Bitcoin on cruise ship. But back then it was like only $500, right? So even less than $500, 8 of them for a whole family vacation. That's reasonable. But now, no, it's not. So my answer is don't control the volatility. But when you want to spend, money, spend stable coin. And I believe there will be a huge wave of other type of stable coin very soon. It's on the horizon. It's coming. Yeah, we're here.
I want to thank you both, Alex and Eric, for commenting on our payments Lightman report. I think we will talk much more in the future about stablecoins and payments because it's a very fast evolving industry. I'm looking forward already to the next type of Lightman reports in this section because payments is one of the key elements in the development of new economy. I want to thank you both, and I'll see you next week, no doubt about it, until a very next topic that Alex is going to talk about. Thank you both. Bye, Eric. Bye, Alex.
Bye, Annemieke. Bye, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, let me stop the recording. We just